Why conservatives are always on the wrong side of history. So I'm going to give 3 examples from the 20th and 21st century. So go back to 100 years or so. Women's suffrage. Fighting for the right to vote. They went on hunger strikes. They threw bricks through windows. They even blew up a post office. People died. Emily Davison famously jumped in front of George V's horse. And in the end, they won the right for women to vote. Conservatives didn't like this, but today, feminism, second, third and fourth wave feminism, has carried the torch for equal rights for women, and although we're still fighting that fight, we have won ultimately. Conservatives have been on the wrong side of history. Go back to the 20th century, the fight for civil rights in America, with slavery, the Jim Crow laws, segregation, redlining throughout the 50s and 60s. Figures like Rosa Parks, who in 1955 stood up and said she wouldn't sit at the back of the bus. And figures like Martin Luther King fought for civil rights, and they won. A lot of people today in America, across the world, do. They won't admit it, but they will see certain races as less than them. They don't want them in the country. And obviously we're still fighting the rights for black people and Muslims, different races across the world. But we've won the argument, and the Conservatives were on the wrong side of history. They fought against civil rights, but people recognised the humanity of black people, and still today there's many problems, still so many historical injustices that need to be sorted out, but we won the argument. Conservatives are always on the wrong side of history. The next example is trans rights. Over the last decade or so, trans rights has been a key component of the culture war from the Conservatives. They don't really have any policy ideas or any vision, so they have to invent these kind of culture wars to distract and kind of demonise people on the left and people who are trans in this case. So they have tried to smear trans as people who are trying to transition to go into bathrooms and raped. That hasn't worked. They're trying to suggest that trans people are trying to groom all the children to be trans. Again, this isn't happening. There's no evidence. Complete conjecture designed to demonise trans people. But we're winning. This fight is still ongoing, but many medical institutions, such as the one in the UK, the British Medical Association, validate trans, validate the transition of a person who has gender dysphoria. They see it as a legitimate medical process, and essentially in the scientific community we've won the argument. But in the political community and the political sphere, there's still a little bit of way to go. Most people are pretty pro-trans. They don't really know about the community. I mean, only 1% of the population is trans. They may think it's a bit weird, but most people know that they have the right to live as the identity they choose. And pretty much we've won the debate. Again, there's still a few people to convince, but Conservatives are on the wrong side of history on this. Because in 10 years, 2035 or so, trans people will be accepted. There'll still be transphobes, like there is homophobes and people are racist, but we will look back and go, yes, again, Conservatives on the wrong side of history. They'll come up with another culture war. They'll probably still be demonising Muslims, but I guarantee they will still be on the wrong side of history. So that's all I have for you today. I'll see you in the next video.